Well, hello. Hello, Northern Ireland Developer Conference. Welcome to my talk on coding for a live stream platform. If you want to follow along with the slides of this talk, you can do so at the link below. It's at consultation.live/NIDC20. There's also a QR code which you can scan. So, a little bit of an introduction is needed. Some people haven't seen my face for some time. So, who am I? Hello, my name is Daniel Porter Wilgar. I go by Stealthy on Twitter. I'm a Twitch streamer, web developer, and content creator. I do a lot of different things. I have too many hobbies. But anyway, my day job, I'm an internal tooling and API engineer for Proofpoint. I work mainly in Python and write a lot of automation tools around software end-to-end deployment, tooling, and so on. My traditional background is in back-end web development and API creation. I did a lot of web work in previous jobs, and I have started, as you can see, dabbling in front-end. Front-end engineering is something I haven't ever done as part of a professional job. My wife does it, and I have a vested interest in it, and that's going to be a big part of this talk. Has been how the streaming world has basically encouraged me to start development on new ideas and new features and move out of my comfort zone. So let's have a little explanation. What is Consultation? So Consultation is the name of my brand for my stream. Basically, it's a play on words between console and tation, consultation, games consoles, and so on. I like it. But my Twitch URL that I stream on is twitch.tv/stealthct. CT obviously standing for Consultation. I stream a variety of coding, gameplay, personal projects like console modding, alert development, different things like that. Generally, I hang out, chat about development, ideas, programs. We'll have maybe an experiment or explore through some of the concepts that I'm about to talk about today. So, let's get started. What is live streaming? Well, live streaming is a big deal. It's a $5 billion global phenomenon. It's a lot more than just Twitch. The likes of Netflix, Spotify, Stadia, Zoom, any platform or service that involves streaming content effectively can be considered live streaming. Video, audio, games, Google Stadia, all these things are big components of it. I mean, you're in one. This conference is happening. This is a live stream. Even if this may be pre-recorded, we're still watching it live, and you can still follow along live with me. But for the purpose of this talk, we're going to focus on content streaming. Content streaming is the likes of gaming, coding, chatting. Someone sitting in front of a camera like I'm doing right now, talking about something, playing a game, doing an activity, and the variety of sites that those activities happen on are Twitch, there's YouTube Live, Mixer, rest its soul, was Microsoft's attempt at breaking into that world. Really interesting tech, but did not work as a critical platform. Facebook are also now doing it, Facebook Gaming. It's a very growing and competitive industry. The examples I'm going to go through today, we'll use Twitch as the main example, but they can apply to any platform. All of the software and libraries that we use can work with any platform that we're streaming to. So, what's different about live streaming compared to YouTube videos or podcasts, etc.? Well, with live streaming, there's a big focus on real-time communication. Thanks to tech advancements, the delay between the streamer actually saying and doing things and people watching them is now about 3 seconds on average on Twitch. Their Mixer had got to like sub 1 second with its technology, but effectively anything below 5 to 6 seconds breaks down the barrier of communication gap. The person who's streaming can now talk to you in real time. They are part of what's happening. the conversations that are happening are there in one place. Streams generally have a lower production quality. That's sometimes, not always. But with YouTube and podcast, a lot of rehearsing is happening, a lot of preparation, a lot of post-editing work. You don't get a chance to do that with streams. You sort of have to just click the go live button and see what happens. With streams as well, most of the time, there are focused content. People will talk about one particular aspect for a particular stream. It may be an activity, it may be a game, but generally, yes, the content for a particular stream is focused in one place, in one area. So, why is this relevant? Why is this relevant to developers? Why is this relevant to us? What can we get out of this? Well, every aspect of live streaming requires or benefits from development. There is a lot of unexplored ideas, a lot of new ideas and new content coming out every day, and people don't know how to do X and Y. Some new idea pops up that someone wants to be able to do, and there's no tools or material to build it, to create it, or to work with it. That's why we have the opportunity to basically implement those features, because at the end of the day, everything relies on the software doing what people want it to do. Streaming is a great way to connect with interest groups, communities, and the audience of, for example, Northern Ireland Developer Conference. We need this. This is a COVID-19 world. We don't get the chance to hang out in person anymore as much as we'd like to. So streaming has become ever more important for connecting people to each other, staying healthy, staying in communication with other people, sharing ideas, content, these sort of things. We can still do this, but streaming has gaps in it. That's where we can fill in some of the things with, well, development work, basically. What sort of things can we take away from this talk? So, one thing I want to be able to start off with is how you can leverage your existing skills to tackle new challenges unique to the streaming environment. Whether that's web development, applications, games development, we'll be talking about quite a few things during this to cover it. Hopefully give you some insight into features about streaming platforms and so on that you might not know about, such as APIs or services that are on offer, or the tools that you need to actually be able to start streaming yourself or writing plugins to extend functionality. And all of the links for these things will be shared throughout the slides and at the end in the resources section. So, the first topic I want to talk about for this talk is games development and the streaming world. So, games development, it's a big industry. Multi-billion dollar industry. It is bigger than movies and music as industries combined. Gaming has, taken off a lot in the past 6-7 years, and despite it being very successful, very big, it's extremely challenging. It's effectively luck of the draw whether your game's successful or not. Depends what the flavor of the month is with regards to games. But games development can be rewarding. It's very exciting, very challenging, and there's always new ideas, new tech advancements, new stuff coming out for games development that usually impacts a lot of other parts of software development as well. It's a big part of the industry, and games developers and streaming communities have a really important connection together. So, games development and the streaming world. Well, games have existed for a long time, but streaming has not existed for a long time, maybe 10, 15 years, and only really has gained major popularity in the past, 5 or 6, and especially in the past 2 or 3. There are a lot of interactions that are unique to live streaming compared to playing games in person or over voice chat with friends. Live streaming has, a different aspect to it. You've got one person playing with maybe potentially 300, 400, thousands of viewers. So the way your game is being played and the way it's been interacted with has changed. Gameplay as an audience thing is a big activity now. Just like movies and music, people enjoy watching and listening to. People really enjoy watching games as well, which is why it's important when you're a game developer to consider the environment in which your game is being played. Many games also start their life on gaming streams. Whenever a new game is released, a lot of streamers all around will pick up the game, give it 1 or 2 streams, give it an example. People experience your game for the first time using Twitch sometimes. That is where they get to see the game. That's where they get to see if they want to play it. And then go and buy it. I personally have not made a bad game purchase decision in the past 2 years, thanks to Twitch, because I have pretty much seen aspects or talked about games with people that I'm either hanging out with in streams or streamers themselves. And it means that generally when I make gameplay decisions, it's usually based on first-hand evidence of a game that I've seen. There are a lot of considerations to be made when it comes to games and development and considering streaming. And we'll talk about some examples. Dead Cells, Jackbox, RimWorld, and Marbles on Stream are all games that have either made game decisions, development decisions, which will impact how these games are experienced on stream, or are made specifically for the streaming environment. We're going to look at some of those now. One of the first ones I want to talk about is Jackbox. Jackbox was a game I used to enjoy with friends in person. It's a party game. You play with your friends. They're basically lots of like trivia style question answer games, joke games, different things. It uses your mobile uses your mobile device as a controller. This is web-based. Everyone just goes to the website jackbox.tv, taps in a room code, and then they can play along with each other. Jackbox got a lot of popularity about 2 years ago on Twitch, and that massively increased their sales. But there were a lot of problems identified with this game being played on stream versus being played in person. And we're going to go over a few of those now. So, what experiences, what problems are unique to streaming when you're playing a party game like Jackbox? So the first one is, first of all, massively increased audience size. If you're playing with friends, you might have only 6 to 8 people around the house maximum. But if you're playing on stream, you could have hundreds, maybe even thousands are playing as part of that. And you want to have them have some sort of, involvement in that game, in that experience. Second problem, stream delay. Less of a problem now, but for the time whenever Jackbox was getting popular, 10 seconds of a delay on a stream was quite commonplace. And if round times are about 20 to 25 seconds, it means that everyone who's playing on stream has a disadvantage. These are things that Jackbox were never considered for, including, again, the purpose of the room code. Anyone can see it, anyone can join. If you're in a room with people you trust, that's generally fine. But whenever you're streaming and everyone can see the room code, you can get all sorts of people coming in and creating havoc for you. So Jackbox made some small but very important changes to their existing games in order to support streaming. First problem was solved by implementing an audience mode. Whenever a game has 8 players, there is a virtual 9th player, which is basically everyone else that is watching can be the audience, and the audience has maybe their favorite answer or their favorite joke. They get to be part of the game whilst not necessarily participating in a particular round, but it gives everyone a bit of an involvement and a bit of experience with that. And that scales up to hundreds. I'm not actually sure of the exact number, but Jackbox did a really good job with that. The second change they made was an adjustable round time. So round times, whenever you're being played on stream, you can increase that 25-second timer to 35, 40, whatever you choose, basically to give people enough time to get their answers in. Because the stream they're watching might be, 10 seconds behind the real-time game that is being run by the streamer. And the third very simple change, private code. Rather than sharing the code on screen, the code is only visible to the streamer. You can share it with the people who want to play with the game, and then it is only shared once the round has started so that the audience can then join. Very simple changes, massively increased experience when it comes to playing the game on stream. Jackbox I met at TwitchCon last year, and one of the things that the devs were talking about were the amount of money they've made from streamers buying their game for playing this on Twitch has been exponential. So that has been one of their main priorities, to make sure that they, whenever they're developing their next party packs and next games, that they embrace basically the main place where their games are now experienced and played, which is on a streaming environment. And it's interesting how that's changed for them because, the game used to be party game with your friends, and now it's one of Twitch's most popular stream games. So that's how a developer was able to make some simple changes to adapt their game to work on stream. Next example we're going to look at is a bit more advanced. It's RimWorld. Now, if you haven't heard of RimWorld, it is a bit of a cult classic modern game. It's a sci-fi Connolly sim game. It's story focused. There are many NPCs, non-playable characters, different jobs, different personalities. Basically, you have a colony, you're trying to survive, maybe build a spaceship to get out of there. The game relies heavily on the dynamics of the characters who are in the game. Different personalities don't mesh well. There may be someone who's a really good engineer, but they might be sexist, and then they don't get on with some of the community members, and then murders happen and all sorts of shenanigans happen. It's a really interesting game. This has already been quite fun for streamers to play because a lot of different events unfold whenever you've been playing a game for many months, and all of a sudden the cook has got depressed and started poisoning the entire village. Different things like that. All sorts of fun. But it's fun to watch as a fly on the wall, but what if you could be part of that game? What if you could be one of the characters inside the game? So this is where the community took action. They developed a mod called Twitch Toolkit. It's basically an add-on for the game, which implements features that enable viewers of a stream to be involved in that streamer's game in some fashion. They pioneered these features, but the developers took notice, and the developers said, this is really good, and we understand that the community want this sort of feature. So the developers backed the project and provided more access to internal game logic through an API that allowed these mods to do more creative things. This, in turn, massively increased sales and engagement for RimWorld on the statistics for Twitch. It's gained popularity a lot over the past few years. And yeah, viewers can vote on in-game events. They can be particular characters with certain personality types. You can have your character named after you, different things like that. And that integration was built obviously post the game development as well. So that's a simple example and an advanced example. What if we were wanting to write a game directly for Twitch? What if we wanted to make a game that was specific to streaming? So Marbles on Stream is a game that's designed specifically with streamers and viewers in mind. The gameplay is basically you're a marble, everyone else is a marble, and you're rolling down a big marble track, and someone wins and everyone else loses. So this game can scale up to, thousands of players. And what do those players do? Well, they type play. They type play in the Twitch chat, and they place a marble, and that's it. That's the whole game. That is the entire game, and it is a lot of fun because it doesn't matter that you have no control over that marble. You have a marble that is named after you, and a lot of Twitch streamers take essence with this and give sports commentary style, and everyone's competing against each other. Oh, he's cheating, he jumped in front of them. No one has any control over the marble. But this game is simple, fun, well designed, and they have lots of custom tracks, lots of different features, and it's something that everyone can enjoy together. So, in summary, games development and streaming go very well together. Changes don't have to be drastic. All you have to do is consider the environment in which your game might be played, make different decisions, such as streamers have distractions that happen. So allowing pausing the game during cutscenes, for example, allow you being able to set settings before the intro of the gameplays to turn on closed captioning. Always captioning. Captioning is so important. Being able to make these changes comes into the development stage. If you know that your game is going to be played on stream, you should consider always that it will be played on stream, and make sure that any decisions that you're making don't have some sort of negative impact on how that game is experienced on stream, because after all, games are very much played first and foremost on a stream. That's where a lot of the time, if you're a developer, you're going to get a lot of first-hand information about how people enjoy your game. So the other thing you want to take away from this, leverage streamers and their communities. There is critical popularity with a lot of games at the minute. Fall Guys, Among Us. What you want to do if you're developing a game is find interested streamers. Definitely not just big streamers. Small to mid-sized streams are a very good place for communities that have a lot of engagement and communication. Give away free game codes. Give out early access to your game. You will be able to get more feedback on the development of your game. You may even consider streaming the game yourself. Or streaming development of the game. There's a lot of things you can take away, but I do not want to talk about this too much. I would love to talk about Stadia, but I'm going to leave links in the resources section because this could be a whole other talk on its own. But I hope that's a good introduction for you to games development and streaming. So, next up, streaming software. This is both a little bit of an intro on how live streaming works and also what software and applications are involved in that. A lot of the features for streaming are generally extended by plugins. So, first off, OBS. OBS is the de facto broadcast software for people to use. Basically, it's a way of compositing videos and different sources. You have a bunch of scenes, which are basically, you could have a title scene, gameplay scene, chatting scene, coding scene, whatever you want. And those scenes are made up of sources. That is pretty much the entire software. That composed scene is encoded and broadcast to the platform of your choice. A lot of the features that people on streams use are extensions from third-party plugins and external services. And that's some of the things we're going to look at. For example, talks like this, it's very important to have captions. OBS doesn't really have support for captions built in. So how do we solve that? So there's a big dev community on Twitch, and there's a big developer community for OBS. A particular developer called Rat with a Compiler realized that captioning was something that a lot of streamers didn't do because they had no access to tools to do it. So he built a solution using the Google Cloud Speech Recognition API. If you have not seen this, it is magic. It can even understand our accents. There's an English Ireland option and it works surprisingly well. Live captioning by software isn't perfect, but it's better than nothing. And what's really nice about this plugin is your spoken words go to the API, come down and get included in that stream mux. That means that they persist both in the live stream, but also in the recorded videos or any Twitch clips that get posted to Twitter. These captions are part of the video stream, which means they can be turned on and off by viewers, and they will live on through the life of that video content existing. Very simple plugin, very, very useful. About 15% of mid-sized streamers are now using this plugin, and donations are plentiful to keep the development for it funded. So it is a big area to start consider writing plugins for OBS because there's still a lot of things that aren't covered by this. Other examples of plugins and extensibility for OBS, Move Transition. You'll see a lot of it during this this talk, but it basically allows sources to move between different scenes. StreamFX is VFX shaders and source effects. Lots of cool, fancy effects that streamers like. There are, VHS shaders and all sorts of different audio plugins and different things. It's basically a big toolkit of lots of different features that are missing from the main software, all in one place. Another one that I use plentiful is WebSocket. It basically maps the entire API for the OBS software to socket events, so you can write anything against WebSockets to control or manipulate your scenes or sources in OBS. Very, very good developer interface to those features. Some areas that are lacking at the minute, there's a serious lack of audio management plugins. Audio is very hard to do in OBS, which is why a lot of people extract it and do it somewhere else with a mixer or different things like that. And also a big increase in the demand for shaders and effects. There's a lot of cool things out there that you can't do in streams yet, and people haven't written them. So those are areas that I would like to see more people tackle with plugin development. So that's OBS, that's streaming software, that's desktop application stuff. Out of the way, we'll move on to our third and final section: web development and design. Are you a web developer? Well, you can your skills will go far for streams, both for content creators and also for if you wanted to do stuff for your own stream. We're going to look at APIs of interest. Basically, where can I get the cool information that makes me able to do the cool things? Building custom alerts. We'll explain what alerts are and why web developers have a big market and potential for writing custom ones for streamers, and also how to build custom logos and animations using WebGL. First off, Twitch Helix API. Twitch have had 5 iterations of their API over years, and they finally got around to one which actually works pretty decently. It's RESTful, has webhooks, and you have access to a lot of events. I'm going to talk about the events. If you want references and information on the Twitch Helix API, it'll be in the resources section. A Twitch stream has many events that might happen. People following the channel, people subscribing to the channel, which is paying the monthly fee. Another streamer coming over with their people, their party, their raid, and they finished stream and they want to bring all their viewers over to one of their friends' channels to watch them. These are all events that happen. These are all things that need noticed, and the Twitch API provides access to that. A lot of this is extrapolated away into third-party services. So Streamlabs, Tiltify, and Stream Elements are very common. Streamlabs would be the most popular third-party service to use along with Twitch or Facebook Gaming or YouTube. They provide access to alerts, which are basically flashy images and things that go off whenever these events happen in stream. Tiltify integrates with Streamlabs as well for fundraising campaigns and charity drives and similar things like that. So we're going to look at custom alerts. First of all, what are alerts? So basically, they're celebrations / hype around events involving money. Streamers make money. Streamers might make most of their money from the content and creation they put out. So anytime that anyone does anything to raise that profile, it's worth celebrating, even if it's a small win or small victory. It provides a sense of community, sense of involvement in a way. Usually alerts are an assortment of memes, GIFs, a bit of music, and some theatrics from the streamer themselves. So it's a lot of fun entertainment to be had when people donate money for funny GIFs and alerts. However, we're web developers. We can embrace this madness. So the alert services like Streamlabs basically provide a widget. This widget you use as a browser source in OBS. It's basically a transparent web page listing to events from the Twitch API, and it will display some trivial markup and animate.css style alerts. A bit of text, wobbliness, image appears, disappears, and has gone away. The streamers aren't developers, most of them. So having access to this service, being able to implement some custom alerts is a really good feature. But we can build custom ones, and a lot of streamers like this because they can have something a bit more personal to them. They can have something that's unique to their stream, to their experience, and can be a little bit more exciting. Streamers generally have a bit of a challenge with each other to try and one-up who's got the cooler alerts. So this is where we come in. So say we have a streamer that likes playing the game Splatoon. Splatoon is a Nintendo game. It's a family-friendly shooter. It's got bright neon colors, lots of paint effects, and there's custom font in the game, which is kind of neat. I really like it. So a streamer plays this game plentiful, so they might want their alerts themed after this game. So let's mark up basically what an alert consists of and what we want it to look like for this game. So we've got some HTML on the left. This has a notification that notification has three components. We have the image container, we have a text container, we also have a third one, fade background, which we're going to use to make the background fade out and fade in whenever the alert plays. We've got some CSS on the right there, which we're applying a bit of rotation to the font, a bit of fancy text shadow and coloring, and a custom font for that game. And for the image, we're going to place it in the backdrop, and we're going to add a bit of a drop shadow to that with the filter fragment from CSS. And this is what it looks like. Bingo. We now have marked up what we want an alert to look like for this game. As you can see, a bit of drop shadow there. StealthCT has now joined the party. Someone has subscribed to the channel. They have given us money, and we are happy, we are proud. So now we need to add a little bit of animation. How do we do that? So there are many options open to us. This example is going to use GSAP. I don't know how to call it other than GSAP. But GSAP is a library by Greenstock. It is basically batteries included animation library. It contains a lot of built-in tweening and easing functions, and it makes animation a little bit easier out of the box. There's a lot of advanced features we can use, like callbacks, timelines, different things to animate. We can use the bare basics of this library to animate this alert that we just have. So, the animation code. We have 4 moving parts to it. We have the fading background, we have the image, and we have the 2 lines of text. What we are wanting to do is basically, they all exist in the middle. We want to start the animation with them off screen. We're going to bring them into the middle, slow motion, they'll pass each other, and then zoom out of the way. Code here does that. The examples will be available in the resources section. We're not going to deep dive into the code. So let's have a look at how this looks. There we go. There's our animated alert. Themed after the game. Slow-mo's working. And it's going to go whoop, and away. There we go. Not much code was needed to make that happen. That's a very simple example of some of the more crazy alerts you can do. But don't forget, this is the web. We can do anything we want. Scare alerts are popular. Halloween is coming. Streamers, for some reason, like being spooked by their alerts. So loud noises and screaming noises and so on are very popular. But we can go a step further than that. Say you wanted to control the streamer's lights or the scenes, so have the camera zoom up really high into the screen before the scare alert goes off. These are 2 libraries that I've used, but there are many more open there as well. The OBS WebSocket.js library lets you integrate with OBS, and the Tradfree one obviously with my Tradfree lights. I don't have a working example for this talk, but I could do this from the talk if I wanted to. I just ran out of time. I know it's not really necessary. You get the idea. A lot of things you can do. So yeah, custom alerts, really popular, really good area to be making a bit of money on side projects, because streamers commission this stuff quite often, and it's really nice to be able to build something custom for a particular streamer. So, next section, reactive logos. So every stream has some sort of brand or logo, etc. Many of them commission animations from designers using After Effects. So it might be some sort of like cool animation and audio stuff that's going on. These are really nice to see, but a lot of the time they can be a bit static, a bit same, because they're pre-rendered, they run, and they sometimes run their course. What if we wanted to build something a bit more reusable, reactive? What if by a live dynamic logo? So there's a few resources I put together for this. One of them is by another speaker at this talk, NGM Code, Neil McCallion. He made this very simple, very janky library years and years ago called Pumper. It's basically an extrapolation of web audio to provide helper functions to allow you to animate based on volume of different bands. We use this and the Three.js library to basically create an animation for my stream logo, which I'll show you an example of right now. So there you go. That is my stream logo. And it animates, even when it's sitting down tidily in the corner, to live audio input. Whenever I speak, it moves. Whenever music's playing, it moves. And there's different animation profiles for it. How do we build this? Well, can't deep dive into the code because that would take a whole talk on its own. But you can go to this link, this GitHub link, and see how it's built. Three.js is a WebGL library. Gives a lot of access to animations in the browser in 3D. And the website for Three.js has a really good showcase of lots of cool features and projects that people have built. One of the things I'd love to see people build, which I don't see enough of, is stuff using WebVR. Especially streamers who stream a lot of VR games. You can make custom alerts that are actually based in their VR game, where whatever they're looking at, the alerts are inside that. But yeah, Three.js is very popular, very well written, batteries included, 3D animation library that I think is really exciting, and there's a lot of potential to make custom logos for streamers using that. So, to recap, oh, I clicked on my link, I'm sorry, and my slides have gone away. Okay, so to recap, consider the platforms and games that you're for games developers. If you're making a game, consider the platforms that your games are going to be played on. If that's Twitch, if that's YouTube, different things, make sure that the decisions you're making impact playfully and well with the streaming environment, basically. And take advantage of those existing communities, both developer and gaming ones. Contact streamers, contact other indie developers. There's a lot of indie developers who stream on Twitch, and you can look up the directory for development, and under the tag game streaming, you will find a lot of people who are streaming development of games. It's a very good way to find other people working on similar projects. If you're an application developer, there are always missing features. OBS is a really cool piece of software with a lot of mileage on it, but there's always something that someone wants to be able to do that they can't do yet. And the API interface is there, the plugin community is there. Integrations are key to streamers being able to do what they do, whether that's audio, visual, any sort of integrations with software, lighting, anything like that. A lot of these things can be built in any language that you want. And for web developers, your skills are big in demand. Custom alerts, custom logos, statistics websites, analytics on people's streams, all of this sort of stuff is only a few taps away. And yeah, there's many untouched areas of creativity. There's a lot of new features I'd love to see being built using web dev for streaming. So here's some resources. If you want to have a look at some of these links, I will also put a link to the slides shortly. My animations and custom things are here. OBS Studio, plugin documentation, my personal stream, and I would love to talk more about Stadia, but we'll do that another time. The talk has been fun. Thank you for listening to me. And if you want to get access to the slides, to look over these points, please scan that QR code or take down that link. And yeah, my name's Daniel. I hope you have enjoyed this talk on streaming and development in the gaming world. I don't know how to say goodbye. I'm just going to leave. Goodbye.